Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be going over your first snowfall forecast and when you expect to see your first snowfall on average, and then whether I think you're going to see your first snowfall earlier or later than what is typical for your individual area. So let's get right into it here with your average first snowfall, and I'll uncover what each individual layer indicates. Now, if you're wondering, this is all from NOAA data, so I did not just make up this map. I just copied what they had on their NOAA data, and I just replicated onto my type of map. So here in this kind of pink region, this is where you expect your first snowfall to be October 1st or earlier, and in some cases you can actually see snowfall in some of these highest elevation regions in August in some scenarios. So that's why I put October 1st or earlier, because it can be much earlier than that in some isolated circumstances. Now, here in this kind of gray region for parts of the higher elevation regions in parts of Washington, Oregon, Nevada, and California, as well as much of the Rockies and parts of kind of some isolated areas in Nebraska, North Dakota, Montana, Minnesota, and then for parts of the UP of Michigan, and then into some higher elevation regions in the interior Northeast. This is where you expect your first snowfall between October 1st and October 31st here. So it's a fairly early first snowfall for these regions. Now, for this region in kind of this darker blue shade, this is where you expect your first snowfall to be between November 1st and November 15th throughout these regions. This includes parts of the Cascades in Washington and Oregon, and then up through into northeastern California, parts of the Sierra Mountains in California, northeastern Nevada, and then much of the areas surrounding the Rockies into the northern plains of the upper Great Lakes, and then throughout parts of some areas in some higher elevation regions in Pennsylvania and West Virginia, throughout parts of upstate New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, and into Maine. This is where you expect your first snowfall between November 1st and November 15th for these regions. And this is not a forecast right now, but I will show you whether I think it'll be earlier or later than normal. So right now I'm just showing you when you expect your average for snowfall to be for your individual regions. Now, in this lighter blue shade, kind of a medium blue, for parts of much of the western United States, the interior western United States, throughout parts of the southwest, and then up through the plains into the Great Lakes, and then down through the Appalachian Mountains, and then up through into the New England region, and also for much of the interior Northeast. This is where you expect your average for snowfall to be between November 16th and November 30th for these regions. Again, this is on average, and this is not a forecast just yet, but I will eventually get to when I to my first snowfall forecast. Now, here is in this kind of lighter blue shade. This is where you're expecting your average for snowfall between December 1st and December 15th on average. This includes some parts of Washington, Oregon, California, then throughout parts of Nevada into Utah and Arizona, as well as New Mexico, and then up through the plains throughout parts of the central part of the country, into parts of the lower Great Lakes, and then into parts of the Appalachian Mountains, and then up through into the Northeast there. That's where you expect your first snowfall to be between December 1st and December 15th for anywhere in these lighter blue regions. Now, for this lightest blue region, this is where you expect your average for snowfall to be between December 16th and 30th for parts of coastal Washington and Oregon, as well as parts of the higher elevation regions in California, and especially in Southern California there, and then also for parts of the Southwest, the South Central, and then up through into the Ozarks and the Tennessee Valley, and then cutting through into the Mid-Atlantic there. That's where you expect your average for snowfall to be between December 16th and the 30th. Now, here over parts of Texas, into parts of Oklahoma, Arkansas, and then throughout parts of the Tennessee Valley and into the southeastern coastal regions. This is where you expect your first snowfall to be between December 16th or after December 31st there. So this is where you're getting very, very far out. So this is when you're seeing your first snowfalls in January and February throughout some of these regions. And then here in this kind of lightest green region, this is where you're seeing very rare snowfall. So not every year are you actually seeing snowfall throughout these regions, but maybe it's once every 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5, 6 years. So it really depends on your individual location. But in a typical year, you don't expect to see snowfall, but it is definitely still possible in these regions. But in these yellow regions, this is where you average no snowfall at all, and you very, very, very rarely will see snowfall. It's a very rare occurrence over these regions for parts of southwestern California, southwestern Arizona, southern Texas, southeastern Louisiana, and much of Florida, except for the panhandle there. That is where you expect no snowfall on average. Now, here is my temperature forecast for the fall months, and then we'll get into whether I think you'll see your first snowfall earlier or later than normal. So here in this yellow shade, this is where I'm expecting slightly above average temperatures, and this is all from my fall forecast, which you can go find on my channel, by the way. So for the southwestern corner of the United States, as well as parts of the Great Lakes and the Northeast, this is where I'm expecting slightly above average temperatures. So it's not going to be well above average. It's not going to be too noticeable, but you should see some amount of above average temperatures. Now for this orange region, for parts of California, Nevada, Utah, Colorado, Arizona, New Mexico, Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas, this is where I'm expecting moderately above average temperatures and where it's going to be more noticeable. And then for parts of northern Michigan, as well as parts of the Northeast, this is where I'm expecting moderately above average temperatures as well. Now, here in the south central and the southeastern United States, this is where I'm expecting slightly below average temperatures, and that is for, again, the south central and the southeastern United States. So that was my temperature forecast for my fall forecast. Now, here is my temperature forecast from my winter forecast. These are all from my second winter forecast and my second fall forecast. So those are all out on my channel, and you can go check them out. Now, for the southwest, the south central, and parts of the southern Florida region, this is where I'm expecting slightly above average temperatures, and this is for December 1st to the last day of February. So this is when this is valid for. Now, for parts of the four corners, and then for the southern tier of Texas there, that's where I'm expecting moderately above average temperatures and where it's going to be more noticeable than normal. Now here in this kind of lighter blue shade, this is where I'm expecting slightly below average temperatures for parts of the northwest, the north central United States, throughout parts of the Great Lakes, the mid-Atlantic, and then into parts of the northeastern United States. That's where I'm expecting slightly below normal temperatures for this winter. And then here in this kind of darker blue shade, this more vibrant blue, this is where I'm expecting moderately below average temperatures for parts of the north central and the Great Lakes regions, where I'm expecting moderately below normal temperatures. Now here is my first snowfall forecast, and you might be wondering, well, on your winter forecast for parts of the let's say the Great Lakes and the northern United States as a whole, you had colder than normal temperatures. Well, your average for snowfall for the northern United States is much earlier than, let's say, the central and the southern United States. So your first snowfall in the northern United States is still in the fall. So I'm going to take into account my fall forecast for those regions. For the southern United States, you see your first snowfall in the winter time. So I'm going to take my winter forecast into account. So this leaves much of the country under a later than normal first snowfall for parts of the southern tier of the United States up through the plains, and then into parts of the Midwest, and then into parts of the Great Lakes and the interior and northern northeastern states there, where I'm expecting a slightly later than normal first snowfall by a factor of about 1 to about 10, maybe 15 days in some regions. Now, in this blue shade, this is where I'm expecting earlier than normal snowfall, and this is the area where you're just in that transition zone between fall and winter, and these are the areas where you expect your first snowfall to be in the winter time for the most part, where I'm I'm expecting colder than normal temperatures for these regions in the winter. So for parts of the Northwest, and then also for a little sliver from parts of Missouri to North Carolina, and then northward into parts of New Jersey, and then into parts of coastal Massachusetts. That's where I'm expecting earlier than normal first snowfall for these regions. So that's gonna wrap it up for today's video. I hope you guys did all enjoy, and if you did, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, and I'll see you guys in the next